Yo, what's up everyone? Today I'm going to be talking about what you want to do once you've hit level 65 to basically power up your character and be able to do all of the endgame content in New World. So first things first, you should really be finishing all of the main story quest, the Elysian Wilds one, all the way till the end. Well, you know, all of them, but like, this is for people that are 65 with the expansion. Pretty much everyone at this point, but I just wanted to clarify that. And you'll know once you've finished it because it won't be marked in your journal anymore. Like your main quest will be finished. And you also receive the attuned leather pants artifact armor from completing the final Elysian Wilds MSQ. Once you've done this, hopefully you have a gear score of at least 650. But if you don't, there are some easy to get 700 gear score artifacts that drop from certain open world mob/events. For example, one of the very first artifacts you should go and get is the featherweight artifact, which is a light chest piece, which is dropped by a bird in a place. I'll find it. Here's the featherweight artifact on New World database. It's dropped by a bird called Nurmur, and the location of this bird is right here in Elysian Wilds. This is the Elysian Wilds here. And you're going to find it right at the top of like a big tree. The only annoying part about this is the mob is on like a 5 to 6 minute respawn timer, so you kind of just like, it's completely soloable, so you don't need any friends with you or anything, but like once you kill it, you have to wait 5 or 6 minutes for it to respawn and have another go at dropping the artifact. It should be noted that you do need to hit the mob to get a chance of getting the drop, unless you're in a group that has someone that hits the mob at least once. But if there's people there and you're not in a group, just make sure you hit it once while it's still alive. For other artifacts, you can check New World database, link in the description below, as there is a list of all of them with their locations. Now, if you still don't have gear score 650 after all of this, make sure you hit up the trading post. You can almost be guaranteed to get cheap, high gear score gear. Don't worry too much about the perks for now, because later on is when you're going to be getting your best in slot gear, or at least much improved gear to what you have now. It's kind of important that you don't spunk all of your gold in this part of the progression. The reason being is you'll need a decent amount of it to upgrade your stuff to exactly what you want later on. An example being chromatic seals. Chromatic seals are sold in the faction vendor, only available to the max faction rank, which is easy to be obtained, and only available to purchase one per day. The fastest way to increase your faction rank is to spam the Shattered Mountain faction PvP quests, and it's really fast. It'll probably take you like 2 or 3 hours to completely max out your rank. So yeah, that should be fairly high up on your to-do list. Also, a side note, once per day, faction quests will give you increased XP, gold, faction XP, and tokens for a total of 3 quests. Once you've done the daily bonus, they will go down to the regular rewards until the daily timer resets. Now we're moving on, mutations for gear and random mutations plus random dungeon queues for gold. So once you have a gear score of at least 650, you now qualify for running mutated dungeons. And what mutated dungeons are is they are increased difficulty of the normal dungeons. So they're raised to level 65 and they have extra difficulty mechanics in place. It doesn't really matter what they are. Like mutation 1 is easy enough, you'll fly through it no problem, but you can get some really solid gear from these. I'd say after a few runs your gear score should be pretty close to the 700 mark. Now it does all depend on what build you're running, on what perks you chase, which I'm not going to be able to fit in this video, but mainly perks like refreshing, enchanted ward, health, elemental aversion, and certain weapon perks. For example, on the bow, penetrating rapid shot is a pretty good one. For fire stuff, empowering fireball is a good one. For great axe, crippling reap is a really good one. Well, obviously these are situational and depends on the build that you're playing, but it could improve your build dramatically, especially since at this point a lot of the gear that you have probably sucks. On top of getting dropped loot from mutations, there is also an artifact that can drop from every single mutated dungeon, usually on the last boss, excluding Glacial Tarn, which drops from the first boss. It used to have like a 10% chance from dropping from the final boss. However, I feel like they've increased that to 20% now. And if you don't get it by the 4th run, you are guaranteed to get it by the 5th run, I'm pretty sure. Like a long time ago, you could use all of your 35 mutated runs in a week and not get the artifact that you wanted. So this change is kind of huge. And also don't forget that at any point during this, you can go to the new PvP zone in Cutlass Keys, where you can loot doubloons for a chance to get up to 725 gear score items, which is the new gear score cap, from crates sold at the Cutlass Keys well. There's also something that I forgot to mention in the video, and that is when you're looting these chests, the Cursed Hordes, you get a golden coconut once per week, which resets on Tuesday, and you're going to need that to upgrade your items at the gypsum kiln, or the named items that you can buy from the Well of Fortune in Cutlass Keys. You can also buy certain weapons at 710 gear score and increase them to 725 and use your 3rd perk. So that might be a good idea. It does depend on what kind of weapon you're using, but for me, where I'm using the hatchet, it's definitely worth getting. But with my sword and shield, on the other hand, I'm not bothering to get the sword from it because I can have better perks. So in the new Cutlass Key zone, where you're getting the doubloons from, you want to come to the town, and you've got this Well of Fortune in the corner over here. And there are some things that you want to be buying every day, some every week. This is an every week, so you use 5 doubloons on this key, you get it once a week, and you come to, and there'll be like some chests. Yeah, there's one right here actually, where you go up to it and you unlock it and you get 500 doubloons. You've got the CK chest run, which goes on here. You'll probably see people typing like plus CK down there. That's like an extra 600 doubloons if you do that chest run. As for the crates, you want to be buying 3 of these every day, only 35 mystic doubloons each. Sometimes you just get materials from it, but sometimes you get a banger item from it. Also, you've got gemstone dust, this is really cheap. Gypsum orbs, this is really cheap. Honing stone, also very cheap. Oak flesh, very good. Maybe you want to be copying these, I'm not sure. It depends if you want to be using this sort of thing. I think Thorny Reflection might be a pretty banger perk, so, you know, maybe grab one of those. You also want the stat boost meal. This is like attribute food, so that's pretty cheap. You got hearty meals as well. The gold cursed trinket crate, so this is like a random piece of jewelry, amulet, ring, earring. This is a pretty good one to buy. I would probably start buying these before everything else, but you can get some really good armor from these crates here, and some of the weapons as well. For example, up to 710 gear score. So yeah, from one of these boxes that cost 250 mystic doubloons, I got some legs that had shirking heals and health on. Physical aversion is alright. If it was elemental aversion, it would have been like almost a god roll. I mean, if health was refreshing as well, that would have been insane. But like, I've been using these for ages, and I got it from one of these boxes. So definitely worth doing some gamba at the Well of Fortune. But also just make sure you get all of the daily stuff as well that I've recommended. Now, you pretty much have access to do everything in the game at this point. The gear is mainly going to be from the PvP track, which also drops artifacts, by the way, but also Shirking Heals gear if you want to use that. The PvP zone, the doubloons, opening the boxes, etc. And the new 10-man Gorgon raid, which you need to be fairly prepared for, but if you all know each other, you're going in a group and you kind of know what you're doing, it shouldn't really be a problem to take it on. It's just, I think a lot of solo players are going to struggle with getting a 10-man for the Gorgon raid. There are some exceptions to this gear chase. For example, the Frigid Dawn armor pieces that have elemental aversion and enchanted ward on, which you cannot put on any other gear in the game. which is in heavy armor, can only be obtained from doing mutated glacial tarn runs, or farming whichever specific artifact you want. And I think that pretty much sums up most of what you need to know for when you hit level 65. But you know, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below, or if I missed something or if I got something wrong, you know, feel free to correct me. I'm open to criticism. If you need help, make sure you ask, and I'm sure I or someone else will be able to help you. And that's it for today's video. I really hope it helped you, and yeah, see you in the next one. Bye bye.